This group was one of the smoothest and most popular soul acts to emerge from Detroit in the early 70s. Although their time at the top of the R&B charts was brief, they recorded a handful of 70s soul classics, all distinguished by the high, trembling vocals of General Norman Johnson, who also wrote the bulk of the group's material. The centerpiece of today's video is all about the chairman of the board. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Norman Johnson was born and raised in Norfolk, Virginia, and began singing in the church choir as a child. He eventually formed his first vocal group, the Hundreders, when he was 12. During high school, he joined another group called the Chairmen, and in his senior year, they recorded a rock and roll homage, It Will Stand. In 1961, the track debuted on the pop and R&B charts, and Johnson remained with the Chairmen for the next 7 years, releasing a string of regional hits on Minute and Swan Records. By the time the group's playing career came to an end, they had established themselves as mainstays on the beach music scene on the East Coast. Johnson opted to leave the group in 1968 to pursue a solo career, eventually making his way to Detroit, Michigan, where he signed with former MOTOWN producers and songwriters Holland, Dozier and Holland's label. Johnson formed a new group with former showman Danny Woods, ex-Stone Soul Children Harrison Kennedy, and Eddie Curtis, who had previously performed with Lee Andrews and the Hearts and Huey Smith and the Clowns. The group's original name was The Gentlemen, but they swiftly changed it to the Chairman of the Board. In the early 1970s, the first single released by the Chairman of the Board, titled Give Me Just a Little More Time, became instant smash. It climbed to the top 3 spot on the pop charts and the number 8 spot on the R&B charts. Two more songs, You've Got Me Dangling on a String, and Everything's Tuesday. Followed, establishing them as R&B chart contenders, but they were unable to rise above 38 on the pop charts. Although the ensuing single, Pay to the Piper, peaked at number 13 in the pop charts, it was their final top 40 smash. Between 1971 and 1974, the group gained increasing popularity from the R&B public with songs like Chairman of the Board in 1971, and Finders Keepers in 1973, reaching the top 10. In spite of the band's consistent release of singles, they decided to stop recording in 1971, which ultimately resulted in a brief dissolution of the band. The next year, they reformed and toured the Southeast beach music scene, where their singles remained regional hits. Although the Chairmen struggled to reach the charts, Johnson's songs generated hits for other artists, including Clarence Carter's Patches, Free the Pains, Bring the Boys Home, and Honeycomb, who had 3 hits, Want Ads, Stick Up, and One Monkey Don't Stop No Show. The Chairman of the Board continued to tour and release records until 1976, when they split up, with each member recording solo albums. Johnson, Danny Woods, and Ken Knox reorganized the board Chairmen in 1978. In 1980, the new Chairmen established Surfside Records and began recording beach music. The trio remained famous on the beach scene, and Surfside Records, an independent record company based in Charlotte, and continued to produce recordings into the 1990s. In 1999, the board Chairmen were inducted into the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. General Johnson continued to perform with Woods and Knox as the chairman of the board until Johnson's passing from lung cancer in 2010. Danny Woods passed away on January 12, 2018 at the age of 75. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. Do you think chairman of the board deserves a Hall of Fame induction? If so, which one? Also, what is your favorite song from the chairman of the board?